Today we'll be looking at a landlord tenant hearing. So this hearing is pretty interesting. Basically, this is a terminacy of tenancy action. It's indicating a failure of purchase agreement on a mobile home. The landlord gave the tenant a notice to quit on February 8th. The plaintiff is not present. Their lawyer is. The landlord is asking for the mobile home back. The landlord's lawyer kind of goes through the history of the plaintiff purchasing the mobile home directly from the park. The thing that stuck out to me about this case is the purchase agreement. So basically, the tenant was to pay the landlord monthly to work towards the purchase price of the mobile home. So according to the lawyer, there has been no payment since August of 2022. Then the lawyer goes on and say that she's unsure if the tenant is compliant with the terms of the lease with the mobile home park, but then goes on to say that landlord is listed on the lease as well, could be in potential jeopardy if she should face any eviction action from the mobile home park, and that it's a 50-year-old mobile home. So this isn't a brand new home, but according to the tenant, she put over $15,000 into the mobile home. And she admitted to owing late fees, but has never been told what. So then the subject of interest comes up, and even the judge, the purchase agreement was poorly drafted, and he didn't understand where the interest, like if it's a monthly interest or a yearly interest, and that wasn't specified. So it's a lot going on in this hearing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe.
All right, I'm going to ask you to stick with me for a moment.
Okay.
They're just a few minutes late. I will take up Ms. Harden's matter, and we'll see whether anybody comes rolling in here on yours.
Okay.
Bring in Mr. Hxllo. Ms. Mauser, can you turn your video on?
If I can figure out how. Sorry, I haven't had you.
Here, Richard Hxllo. As a defendant in a landlord tenant proceeding, including non-payment of rent, termination of tenancy, land contract forfeiture, mortgage foreclosure, fail to agree on a purchase agreement, or other premises actions, you have the following legal rights. You have the right to obtain counsel for representation in this matter. If you cannot afford an attorney, a legal aid attorney may be available to help you. And I did send you that information. Some days they were here sort of helping on the sidelines, but I think they're probably otherwise obligated today. You have a right to a trial by a jury or by the court. If the action is for non-payment of rent, and if you are eligible for any emergency assistance, you may not need a judgment to receive that assistance. The summons and complaint from the court case should be sufficient, although people disagree on that. If the plaintiff is agreeable, the Citizens Mediation Services, Inc. may be available as a possible source of case resolution. If both parties are agreeable to mediation, contact the court and we can help set that up. If you do reach an agreement with the plaintiff and a consent judgment is entered by the court, you would waive the rights listed above but have the following additional rights. The judgment could not be enforced until 3 business days had passed. You could move to set aside the judgment within those 3 days if you misunderstood what you consented to or what you were waiving. Your motion to set aside the judgment would be set for a landlord tenant hearing. However, if the judge does not find in your favor, the original judgment would stand. Ms. Mauser, Jordan Harden is here on behalf of the plaintiff. This is filed as a termination of tenancy action, indicating there was a failure to purchase agreement regarding a mobile home. I believe it's located at the park in Constantine. The notice to quit was served on February 8th, and the plaintiff at this point is simply asking for that premise back. Is that correct, Ms. Harden?
It is, Your Honor. My client did purchase the mobile home directly from the park, and shortly thereafter, the defendant and my client entered into a lease with the mobile home, with defendant being listed as occupant with her children. As stated, there was and provided a purchase agreement between the parties where defendant was to pay my client monthly to work towards the purchase price of that mobile home. We've not made any payments since August of 2022. We're unsure if she's complying with the terms of the lease with the mobile home park, as my client is listed on that lease and could be in potential jeopardy if she were to face any eviction action against them or from the mobile home park. There's concerns about unauthorized occupants, utility payments, those things. So at this time, my client is simply asking for the defendant to be removed from the property so he may reclaim his property.
So we don't know whether lot rent is current or not.
No, my client has attempted to reach out to the mobile home park manager to get that information, and he was not successful. They did receive information from, I believe, the utility company that they were behind in payment as well.
All right, you said she purchased the property directly from the park.
My client did, the plaintiff.
Oh, the client, okay.
Yep.
Ms. Patil, Mr. Fenwick is here late to his own party, so I'm glad that you waited. We'll address that in a moment. Ms. Mauser, what's your position here?
The last I knew, we were already in court in another county under case 20-D04-2105-SC-000745.
I lost you. So you're in another county?
Yes.
That's incorrect, Your Honor. There was a pleading filed by my client. He's a resident of Indiana. He filed for legal relief down there. That case was dismissed as the defendant indicated she was going to start complying with the terms of the purchase agreement. So there's no pending other litigation at this time.
What county was that in?
What county was the Indiana case?
Elkhart County.
It was, no, the Indiana.
Elkhart County.
Elkhart County, Your Honor. But that has since been closed.
All right. Is Mr. Gooden there with you?
Mr. Godwin.
Yeah. All right. So apparently that case has been dismissed. They're indicating that no payment has been made since a year ago, August of 22, almost a year. What's your position, Ms. Mauser?
I've paid on this trailer more than almost $15,000. And I know I probably owe something in late fees, and he's just never told me what he wants in late fees. Even if there was a late fee for every month of the 4 years per the purchase agreement, that's still $3,600 total in late fees. And he's trying to say that I owe $7,000 on a 30-year trailer that I've already invested $15,000 in. My position is I just want my title back. I mean, I just want my title at this point. I've paid more than what the purchase agreement that I have, because I have a purchase agreement that doesn't have the interest on it. But if that's, another thing is I don't owe APR. I never signed an APR. This was not a loan.
Well, I have one here. It's a purchase agreement for $12,500 with 9% interest.
Right, that's $1,125.
Yeah, 9% interest, not per month, just 9% interest.
On the
$290 due on of each month. And that agreement was entered into in 2018. And there are going to be $800 with 9% interest.
Right, that's $1,125.
Yeah, 9% interest, not per month, just 9% interest.
On the
$290 due on of each month. And that agreement was entered into in 2018. And there are going to be issues in here. Let me see about late fees. $25 late fee. All payments that are made more than 21 days will be charged an additional $50 late fee. I would not allow a $75 late fee on a rental agreement.
But I can show you right here. This is the copy I have without the rent agreement or without the interest.
All
I don't
right,
know if you can see
well,
that.
slow down here. There are often two sides to every story, and there are here. So for one thing, he is terminating your tenancy, but it's failure of a purchase agreement. So he's asking essentially to get the vehicle back, or in this case, the titled property, which is a mobile home. Your rent for the lot is with the park.
Right.
You're also contending, all right, well, after you got served a notice to quit on February 8th, did you communicate at all with the plaintiff?
The last time I reached out to him, I just let him, he did say he messed up on a lot of the numbers at first, and he said he was going to fix those numbers and get back with me, and I have yet to see anything of a change of numbers.
Well, all right.
I talked to you, wasn't?
Just a minute. Mr. Fenwick?
Yes.
You're late. I'm staring at your ceiling fan, which is giving me vertigo, and you're talking while we're in court. So
I wasn't aware you could hear me.
So just sit down for a minute. I will get to you here shortly. All right, well, the bottom line is I have to continue this matter. You could greatly benefit from some advice from legal aid. What was your relationship with Mr. Godden? Just somebody you bought a mobile home from?
Yeah, he was through the church. I was fleeing domestic violence from another state, and they helped me out with this home. Me and my children have lived here since we came up here in 2018. This has been our home. I'm pretty cordial. I'm pretty easy to work with. I just don't think, it's not. I didn't sign up to pay $20,000 for a 30-year-old home. I signed up to pay $3,000 or $13,100, $25. That's what I signed up to pay. And he doesn't understand that. He thinks that because maybe he was paying an APR that I also have to pay an APR, but I didn't sign up.
Well, it's an interesting question because it doesn't say per annum, per month, just 12.5 with interest of 9%. What does that mean? And normally I wouldn't allow a late fee of $25 plus $50. So we've got issues regarding that. So we don't know how much is principal, how much is late fees, what is the actual interest. If your version is correct, that it's 9% one-time deal on $12,500, we're going to have to know how much you've actually paid.
I believe I attached account payment log, Your Honor, and
you did.
Okay.
Which is helpful, but I have to fly spec it. Yeah, he's adding interest each month. This is a poorly drafted purchase agreement.
And it's not the same papers that he issued me last time. They're completely different numbers.
Well,
Again,
this one is signed. Your Honor. Excuse me, Jordan?
She keeps referencing a case that's already been closed. It's not relevant to today's hearing.
Well, it might be if he files something which says something different in the state of Indiana than what this says. It could be relevant.
The Indiana case was dismissed on consent because she agreed to start making payments again. So she wants to go down that road. I suppose we can at the next hearing, but he just is asking for his property back. He's not been paid in almost a year.
Yes, and her contention is she's paid the whole thing off and he won't give her a title. But I haven't added those numbers up. All right, well, we've got to move this, obviously. The law requires I adjourn it at least 7 days, but I'm going to need someplace to park this.
It's $13,625 that I agreed to pay for this trailer.
Well, that's your version. Whether that's the case or not
of what you're having
needs to be determined. But if it's 9% interest, what does that mean? You're kind of naive in your reading of it. You just increase the price by that amount and charge no interest. So 9% one-time interest, that really isn't how interest works. So you have a version of how you think it should work, but I don't believe it works that way. It's probably going to be construed as at least per annum. And so that would be that much each year. But today is May 22nd, May 20 section. Jordan, are you available on Wednesday, June 7th at 1:30?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you, Miss Mauser? Wednesday, June 7th at 1:30?
Yes.
Yes? I would suggest that you get some legal advice. I gave the information about contacting legal aid. We may have a hearing, but there's some issues that need to be determined. Somehow we're going to have to determine how that 9% interest is construed. And we're going to have to also deal with the question of late fees. Now, Jordan tells us that there was an agreement in Indiana and you agreed that you were going to start making payments, and you did not make any of those payments apparently. So there's some things we're going to have to unpack here. I'm also going to order that you begin to pay rent to me in escrow. Hey, I want you to pay June's rent, or June's payment of $290 to the court. Now I will hold it to determine who's right or wrong. We'll address this further. I'm not even sure we can resolve it on June 7th, but I'll block out a large amount of time, several hours to devote to this. Do you have any questions? Now, if you contend there's a different purchase agreement, you need to share that with the court and serve a copy of it on Ms. Harden. She says it's not relevant. I would be interested in seeing what the pleadings are to this Indiana case. At any rate, at this point, he's not asking for money. He's simply asking you to move, in which case he gets to keep all the money that you paid to him, and he gets to keep the mobile home, as opposed to a $15,000 purchase price and $14,000 has been paid. So I'm not even sure, frankly, we're in the right forum, the landlord tenant matter. But we'll address it further on June 7th at 1:30.